Hey everybody, this is Jeff Melton with another episode of The Bitter Pill. Last time I had the most viewers ever in the episode I did about Riley Gaines being attacked by protesters when she was giving a speech at University of California, San Francisco. Um, so I assume that there are probably people watching that haven't watched before since I had so many people watching last time. So, just to give you a quick rundown on the nature of the show, The Bitter Pill is about bitter pills of truth that the corporate media and other powers that be would not like you to know about, but that you should hear about. And so I try to talk about them. And I also have a Substack also called The Bitter Pill, jeffmelton.substack.com. So check that out. So today I wanted to talk about this bill that came up for a vote in the House of Representatives today, H.R. 734, which is called the Protection of Women and Girls in Sport Sports Act of 2023. And so basically, what it says is that it's a violation of Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 for federally funded education programs or activities to operate, sponsor, or facilitate athletic programs or activities that allow individuals of the male sex to participate in programs or activities that are designated for women or girls. And Title IX, the bill that was passed back in 1972, prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex in federally funded education programs or activities, including in public elementary and secondary schools and in colleges and universities. So, in other words, back when Title IX was passed, they equalized, for example, the athletic scholarships that were awarded to collegiate athletics so that men and women got the same number of athletic scholarships. And there were various other things that it did to equalize the playing field in terms of both athletics and academics for males and females. So under this bill, sex is based on an individual's reproductive biology and genetics at birth. The bill does not prohibit male individuals from training or practicing with programs or activities for women or girls as long as such training or practice does not deprive any female of corresponding opportunities or benefits. So that's all it says. It's basically just saying that you can't do what, for example, Lia Thomas, the athlete that competed against Riley Gaines that I talked about last time, who declared himself to be female. He was previously William Thomas and swam on the men's swim team at University of Pennsylvania, and then he transitioned, so to speak, started taking estrogen, and then started competing on the women's team. And so, as Riley Gaines has talked about, and teammates or other athletes who have chosen to remain anonymous have also backed her up on this. It was very traumatizing for the women who swam at Penn or at the NCAA championships where Thomas and Gaines both competed to have to share a locker room with Lia Thomas, who was a fully intact male. And in addition, as you might guess, Thomas did much better as an athlete on the men's team than on the women's team. In the 2018-2019, Thomas, when competing in the men's team, ranked 554th in the 200 freestyle, 65th in the 500 freestyle, and 32nd in the 1650 yard freestyle. In the 2021-22 season, competing in the women's team, the ranks were 5th in the 200 freestyle, 1st in the 500 freestyle, and 8th in the 1650 freestyle. So, excuse me, top 10 ranking in all 3 of these events, and overall the top swimmer among NCAA among athletes competing in NCAA women's swimming. And so, this bill that I was talking about, H.R. 734, came up for a vote today in Congress, and there was some heated debate about it. And what really struck me about this was, frankly, how dishonest the Democrats were in talking about the nature of the bill and the motivations behind it and so forth. Now, as you may know, if you've seen this before or you follow me on Twitter, I'm, very much on, I guess, the left of the political spectrum. So, on most issues, I probably agree with the Democrats more than the Republicans. So, I'm certainly not, as I've often been accused of being, some sort of right winger or something. But let's say I was. I think this is not an issue that's a matter of left or right. It shouldn't be politicized at all. It's a matter of basic fairness and privacy. People deserve to be able to get dressed and shower for athletic events without having to worry about someone of the opposite sex coming into their locker room. And women and girls, I think, deserve fair competition, as I talked about last time in my episode excuse me, on the boisterous and at times violent protest against Riley Gaines when she spoke about her experiences as an NCAA athlete competing against Lia Thomas. One thing I talked about was that there's a pretty sizable difference in basic physical prowess between the average man and the average woman. So if you look at, for instance, the fastest times in women's track events or swimming events, and we're talking about, the very fastest times in the world, the highest level, most elite level of competition, they are not as fast as the times among the top 14 and 15-year-old high school boys in the United States. The women's national soccer team was defeated pretty handily by a team of 14 and 15-year-old boys from Texas. So, even if somebody takes hormone therapy, is a male who takes hormone therapy and proclaims themselves to be a woman, that doesn't take away all their advantages. So Lia Thomas was a slower swimmer after undergoing hormone therapy and competing as on the women's team than when he was on the men's team. But it didn't slow him down that much, and so he performed much better competing against women than he did against men, as you might expect. But let's look at what. First of all, let's look at another issue about competition between males and females. So a high school volleyball player in North Carolina was spiked in the face by a male transgender athlete who was competing on the opposing team. Let's see if I can. Okay, so that girl that you saw there getting hit in the face, got a concussion, very bad concussion, and neck injury, and is unable to play volleyball anymore. Here's what she had to say about that experience a few days ago.
November 1st, 2022, I was severely injured in a high school volleyball game by a transgender athlete on the opposing team. I suffered from a concussion and neck injury that to this day I am still recovering from. Other injuries I still suffer from today include impaired vision, partial paralysis on my right side, constant headaches, as well as anxiety and depression. I was unable to play the rest of my last volleyball season, and although I am currently playing softball, I am not able to perform as well as I know I have in the past because of the injury. My ability to learn, retain, comprehend has also been impaired, and I require accommodations at school for testing because of this. I could go on and on about how this incident has affected my life, but I'm not here for that, because I'm not here for me. Because for me, I know that my time playing is coming to an end. I'm here for every biological female athlete behind me. My little sister, my cousins, my teammates. Allowing biological males to compete against biological females is dangerous. I may be the first to come before you with an injury, but if this doesn't pass, I won't be the last. The North Carolina High School Athletic Association policy states that it allows participation in interscholastic athletics for all students, regardless of gender or gender identification. It is the intent that all students are able to compete on a level playing field in a safe, competitive, and friendly environment, free of discrimination. Clearly, that does not include biological female athletes. My ability to compete was taken from me. Having to play against biological males is not a level playing field and is most definitely. Number 1st.
Okay, so now you might say, well, it could have happened to a guy. Excuse me. Playing on the boys volleyball team. Yeah, that's true. On the other hand, it probably wouldn't have happened to her if there had not been this transgender male playing on the other team who obviously was able to spike the ball with greater power than any of the female athletes. And my partner's had a bad concussion before, and it's no fun. Everything she described there, the psychological issues, depression and anxiety, and memory loss and headaches, and just it's really not a pleasant thing. But anyway, certainly in other sports, contact sports, the safety issue is even more of an issue if biological males who identify as trans are allowed to compete with females. And of course, the issue of what are you going to do about the locker room? Is it really fair to allow male athletes to violate female athletes' privacy, as Lia Thomas did? And according to women who were there, he was getting aroused seeing the female athletes naked. That's and some of them reported being very traumatized by that experience. But let's look at what some of the Democratic Party politicians and organizations said about this bill. And you'll see there's no mention of any of the fairness or privacy issues whatsoever. Instead, the Human Rights Campaign, which, as it says there, is the nation's largest LGBTQ plus civil rights organization, and at this point they're more of a TQ plus organization than a lesbian, gay, bisexual organization. They said, breaking, the House has passed the first nationwide bill prohibiting transgender kids from participating in school sports teams that match their gender identity. Instead of resolving real issues, lawmakers choose to attack trans kids. Okay, so how are they attacking trans kids? They're just saying, you know, I mean, if you're a girl or a woman who's trans, you can play on whatever team you want to, so it doesn't even affect them. If you're male who's trans, they're just saying you play with the males. You can't compete against females because it isn't fair to them. Congresswoman Ayanna Presley, one of the members of the squad, the supposed progressive Democrats. To our trans kids, you belong, you are enough, you deserve joy and opportunity, you are perfect, and I will always be in your corner. Shame on Republicans targeting our trans youth. So, she doesn't even mention anything about what the bill is about and says they're just targeting trans youth and taking away joy and opportunity, et cetera, et cetera. And the other thing that many people pointed out in responding to her tweet, which as you can see, just she got the hell ratioed out of her. 10,500 comments, only 1,500 approximately likes, and there were several people responding to her who got many times that number of likes on their comments. So this was not a popular point of view. And one thing that people pointed out was her saying, you are perfect, you are enough, you belong, etc., and yet, not that this bill has anything to do with that, really, but she is an advocate of transitioning kids, that is, giving them, putting them on puberty blockers, giving them hormones, and perhaps at some point performing surgery, such as mastectomies or, genital mutilation surgery, to try and make them look more like the opposite sex. So, if they're perfect and they're enough, why not just leave their body alone? Help them to accept the person who they are, who she says is perfect, without performing medical procedures on them that are, that cause long-term, permanent damage and don't necessarily, or typically don't, fix their psychological issues, which, we can go into detail on that some other time. But I just wanted to focus on this issue this time. So let's look at what some other folks had to say. Somebody that has a company called a Hillcrest Card Company, owner-operated, they, she, he, whatever the hell these pronouns are, they, she, he, I don't know what the hell this person is, but anyway, they, she, he say, hey y'all, please call your U.S. House representative and ask them to oppose H.R. 734. This legislation specifically targets trans girls and women and bans them from playing sports. So, that's just an outright lie. As I pointed out to her, have you even read the bill? I said it doesn't ban anyone from playing sports. It doesn't change anything for girls and women at all. It only says that males can't compete in girls and women's sports. They can compete against other males, as they always could. And so this person made a nasty response to me and blocked me. The Biden administration has said that if this bill passed the House and the Senate, Biden would veto it. The administration strongly opposes House passage of H.R. 734. Participating in sports and being part of a team is an important part of growing up, blah, blah, blah. H.R. 734 would deny access to sports for many families by establishing an absolute ban on transgender students playing on a team consistent with their gender identity. Well, yeah, uh, so they can play on the team that's consistent with what sex they are, as everyone else does. So it's not denying access to sports to anybody. Um, Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs, I've never heard of her, and apparently not very many other people have either. Um, she says, "Look, we know House Republicans' record from introducing a national abortion ban to opposing paid family leave, blah blah blah. So we know this isn't about protecting women. This is about discriminating against the trans community to score political points." And this was also a consistent theme from the Democrats, is that people supporting this bill were just Republicans or right wingers who don't care about women. But uh, there are lots and lots of women who either are affected by this, or people that have daughters who play sports. Um, a lot of people really care about fairness in sports. So these are just cheap shots. Um, okay, let's. Do I really want to go through this? No, I'll skip it. Um, the National Center for Lesbian Rights, another one that claims the House of Representatives is getting ready to vote on H.R. 734, a bill that would ban trans kids from playing school sports. We need your help to tell your representative that all students deserve to benefit from sport and to vote no on this terrible bill. So just flat out lying. Totally dishonest. Congresswoman Cori Bush. H.R. 734 is a hateful and bigoted attack on trans youth's daily existence, orchestrated by the far right. Ugh. I mean, this bill prohibits school athletic programs from allowing individuals whose biological sex at birth was male to participate in programs that are for women or girls. So it's a hateful and bigoted attack on trans youth's daily existence. And, obviously only the far right could support this hateful and bigoted, quote-unquote, bill that simply says if you're a boy, you got to compete against boys, regardless of how you identify. If you're a man in college, you got to compete on the men's team, not the women's team. That's all it says. Nothing hateful or bigoted about it. More hyperbole from another Democrat. I just voted no on the invasive, anti-child, anti-sports, anti-trans, anti-freedom, anti-privacy H.R. 734. It even claims no child should be forced to expose themselves to officials to, quote-unquote, prove their gender just to play school sports. This is sick and wrong. Why? I mean, that's just, bullshit. I mean, you've got school records. They say what sex you are. It's on your birth certificate. End of story. So, I mean, it just lies. It's unbelievable. Ro Khanna. The GOP is voting today on a bill that would ban trans women and girls from participating in women's sports. Okay, well, at least he's honest about what the bill actually says. But then he goes on to say H.R. 734 is discriminatory and bigoted. How's it bigoted? As people pointed out to him in their responses, aren't you being bigoted by saying that women and girls don't deserve to have fair competition, or to have locker rooms free from males coming in and watching them undress? You don't care about the privacy and ability to compete in sports that are fair of women. That seems misogynist, Ro. Yeah, that's what people pointed out to him. I really liked this person's comment. They say, we don't allow ringers to play in other leagues. I'm not sure what a ringer is, but from the context, you can figure it out. For example, we don't allow adults to play in Little League, even if they identify as 11-year-olds. Exactly. We don't allow heavyweights to identify as lightweights and compete in the lightweight division in boxing. So, why would women's sports want ringers who were born as biological males to participate in them? I think that pretty much sums it up right there. Let's see, is there anything else? Oh, ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union. They're always good for some gaslighting about this sort of thing. Breaking, the U.S. House of Representatives just voted 219 to 203 to ban trans girls from being able to participate in sports. Just a flat-out lie. It's just a fucking lie. The MAGA majority should hang their heads in shame, this person says. Trans kids belong in schools, sports schools, books, families, and on teams. They're not excluded from any of that. They're just, if they are male, they don't belong on the girls or women's team. That's all this is about. Doesn't say anything about female trans kids. If they want to, like I've heard of, girls competing in high school wrestling on the boys' team because there wasn't a girls' team, and that's their choice. That's fine. They get to do it. If you're a female basketball player and you're good enough, there's nothing that prohibits you from trying out for the NBA. Nobody has done so yet, but it's not against the rules. What is against the rules is for a man to play in the WNBA, the Women's National Basketball Association. You can't do that. But I really think I'm going to end it with just reiterating this point. We don't allow adults to play in Little League. We don't allow, heavyweights to box as lightweights. So, why on earth would we allow biological males to compete with and, be in locker rooms with female athletes? It's not fair, and it violates their privacy. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this segment and learned something, and I will see you next time.